let's begin with yourself, Jonathan. Tell us a bit about yourself and your story, where you're from, and how you got to where you're currently at today.
Oh man, we're gonna go way back. But no, yeah. My name is Jonathan. I'm a dreamer. I think I'm the one of the oldest dreamers. I barely qualified for DACA, like for by days. Okay, like I remember reading about it on the newspaper because I would read the newspaper every day, every single day, and I saw like the cutoff date, and I'm all like asking, like, hey, I don't know I was asking somebody, hey, do I qualify? It says this day. I'm like, yeah, you should qualify. That was some good news. And never, well, we start before that. I'm from Michoacan, and I came to the United States when I was about 12 years old, and I had that the border crossing drama. I don't want to go on too much into that, but it's a, it's a, it's a some a lot of those dreamers share that story, all the struggle crossing the border to the desert. As a child, you confused and you get traumatized. But no, I made it across. We made it across and ate McDonald's for the first time ever.
I think that was my experience too
and
when I came across.
uh,
McDonald's was like probably the
yeah, I
first
think
thing
we
I
all,
had.
yeah, I'm like, man, well, I remember that Big Mac. Like, I remember it was so big back then, and it was so good too. I'm like, man, I think maybe ever since I love McDonald's ever since that day. So I mean, and even before I would hear like, oh, it's unhealthy and all this. I'm like, why are people saying that? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It brings me back those memories. So yeah, I went to sixth grade in a middle school and undocumented. I remember my first year, it was when back in California, here in California, I came to California. It was like the 187. This was a proposition that they were gonna keep undocumented students from going to school and taking all the benefits from undocumented people. Even going to school, I remember this racist governor Pete Wilson back in 1993, 94. And I think that's when my little wake up call as a undocumented student or dreamer. I'm like, man, I'm having like little, maybe that's like when my little fear started. Like, man, I'm undocumented. Like, what's gonna happen? But I know I went. Nothing happened. They got denied. There was a lot of good people back then, and a lot of students protested too. And like that was also
Mhm.
my first very like kind of seeing students protest those policies basically. But no, yeah, I went to high school and I was just going along, like not really knowing, lost and confused. We don't have no guidance from our parents. They don't know either the school system. And I was in the ESL classes, and like I didn't even know I was falling behind in school. But no, yeah, after I graduated, like, oh, you're behind. You have to make up these classes in English and math. I'm like, what the heck? But then I started learn about college. But yeah, after I graduated high school, barely with my GED, I tried to go to community college, and but I was so far behind again. Maybe because I didn't know, and I was in. Uh,
I mean, it's tough. It's tough when you're trying to learn a new language,
oh yeah,
and
yeah. So
then
yeah,
no,
yeah,
I definitely been there, and I get what you're saying as well. I mean, you might not even know you're falling behind in classes and stuff. It's tough, and you have no guidance. You're kind of just figuring it out on your own, right?
yeah. No, yeah. So I learned English. That's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to like learn it a little bit. And I tried to go to community college, but uh, I was honestly I was so far behind, and I also had to work. And again, it began right there again, like how to begin to work. As a undocumented 18-year-old, 17-year-old. But we found our ways. Like most undocumented people, we just had to find a way, and I was working, but a struggle. Like Kevin, for me, I know a lot of dreamers, like luckily some of the young dreamers now, they just and they got their DACA in high school. They came out and go to college with the pre-med and be able to work normally.
Yeah.
But it was those 10 years being undocumented. It was about 10 years. It's I don't know if you want me to go into detail or not. to you, but it's long. It's like I'll keep it maybe compressed,
You
but
could
that's up
summarize
to
it
you.
for a bit for us.
Okay,
If you don't want to go into like the total details of it, you don't have to, but you just tell us what you'd like us to know.
okay. I'll make it quick, but I think right there. So fast forward to where I'm at right now. I'm an investor, right, into stock and cryptocurrency and about properties. But be, right there, when I was undocumented and I was going to community college just to maybe learn English and get some college education, at least in some classes, how it was and stuff. I didn't graduate and I went like for a year. But right there, Kevin, I think it began like us as undocumented people or dreamers thinking of our future. So that's where I began. It's sad, okay? It's sad to think back then now, but me, I was looking towards my future. If I was gonna find a partner or my future wife, right? I had to make sure she was a U.S. citizen. Like, man, that's sad. I met some amazing, uh, like me, undocumented women, but I couldn't. Like, no, you know what? The future is not. I don't see a future with us progressing, and that's kind of sad. Like, I don't know. A lot of other dreamers are in my boat, and even some are both of my dreamers. I'm one of dreamer, and another still undocumented because they didn't make the legal age. But anyways, that time period, I was just working crappy jobs and struggling, with being undocumented, not having ID, no insurance, and anything, like not having anything. Get discriminated in jobs and get let go so many jobs. It was just a struggle, But and again, I was able to find I was able to find a good partner. That I always say that those years, I was chained to a big rock. Okay, I was just chained. I felt like I was chained to this big rock, and I couldn't move forward in life, like in anything, adulthood or the American dream, like everyone we
Yeah.
want. And I found like a partner, my wife, and again, and maybe she helped me push that big rock I was chained to, and she helped me. We pushed together, and yeah, we were just struggling too together as a young couple, and again, another part comes in being undocumented. Like you don't want to have children. Like for me, I'm like, man, I'm not gonna have any children being undocumented and not be able to provide for my children. That's another super important fact and another sad one too. As a lot of those dreamers have in common. I know we do, but again, I was getting close to my 30s, and I was just struggling, saving, trying to find hope. I only have hope, I guess. I had to choose hope and hope. No, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. Something's gonna change one day. And I was getting ready to reach my 30s, and that's when I'm like, okay, no, let's. I'm trying to. I know when you're young dreamers, and for me, in all my 20s and 30s, it was a struggle, but also like kind of trying to find your identity. Like, what's my purpose? Like what am I doing? What my goals or purpose in life in general. But so I'm like, okay, I think that's where I found my little purpose in life. I'm like, okay, let's try to start a family now. I'm like, I'm getting 30. I'm like, maybe like my I don't want to say my passion or my something my purpose in life. I'm like, okay, I haven't found anything. I don't know what it is. Maybe I don't know. I didn't think about that time, but I'm like, okay, I want to have a family, and that's when I became a dad. Like I'm around 30. I was around 30 years old, like maybe 29, and I think that's when everything kind of changed
Mm-hmm.
in my life. Like, okay, as soon as your little boy is born or your little girl, that's when I think as I found out, like, okay, I'm like, that's my purpose. Like right there, I'm like, okay, things are a little bit better mentally because mentally it's just draining the undocumented stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, got a little bit, my head got a little bit maybe less distress, or I don't know. It's a weird. I don't know how to describe it, but after that, my son, I had like a purpose. Like, okay, I'm gonna work hard or stay out of trouble, and which that it's just for us. We have to stay out of trouble anyways, right? So we get deported.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then the Daca thing happened, and I'm like, finally have more hope, and finally, so man, Kevin, and I went to a lawyer too, and like to make sure the first time, and like, okay, I qualify. Oh yes, you have all the paperwork and everything. Thankfully, and that's one of the happiest days of my life was when my son was born, and the second it's when we received the Daca approval, especially for like me, an older dreamer that's been through so much struggle, like in my 20s, and man, like so much struggle. But I'm like, okay, no, this opportunity, it's of a lifetime. Thankfully, all those dreamers that didn't qualify for it, that were uh, fighting for us before the Daca. There was a lot of dreamers fighting for the Dream Act way before all those in the 90s and 2000s. And I think we owe them to them. I remember going to some little rally in LA, and of course, when I was a kid, I kind of see it. I didn't participate because I didn't know, but I went to LA, a little rally over there, but to try to promote the Dream Act way before Daca. And so anyways, I have Daca, right? And I'm like, okay, Dina, I'm not gonna let this thing go to waste. And it's you get those Diana, and I talked to another dreamer. She's good with mental health. I'm like, when we talk about it as dreamers, you get like the little trigger feelings that some people can't honestly control or comprehend. And I think little by little, talking about it, I do always do video. You know how I do live videos about investing and try to teach others and help them start investing.
We'll get into that as well.
Uh-huh. So anyways, I have Daca right now. I'm from day one. I started working really hard. The first year, Kevin, after I received Daca, and I went to this job. It was my dream job. It's not a big job, okay. I didn't graduate from college or anything, but it was my dream job. And I went there and I tell them, you're not gonna tell me no for an answer. I've been waiting for this opportunity for more than 10 years. They're like, what?
That's right.
Yeah, what? You really? Like, yeah, why? I told them the truth. Like, yeah, I wasn't undocumented. And like, okay, then. The first year I was able to work really hard, and I was able to buy my first year of getting DACA, okay. Like the first year and a half, the first year I was able to save to buy my little condo, to buy of course, get credit cards to build my credit. The first year I was just building my credit using credit cards and paying a car loan. Then I was able to save, and they were like, the first year of doing DACA, I went to the realtor, and they're like, oh, what's this DACA? I'm like, oh, it's just, for me, look it up. I don't know, but I have the money to down payment for my home. And right there again, the investing thing again kicked in again. Maybe I started not realizing it, but I was investing into real estate already. I'm like, not even realizing. I just wanted to purchase a home.
Yeah.
And choose that opportunity just for me able to purchase one. That's, with DACA, man. And choose that opportunity just to be able to purchase it now. They're like, you have a social? Yeah, I have credit. Yeah, I have credit. And they're like, well, let me find out about this DACA thing. How is it done? And but I let them know, like, okay, tell me also how much down payment do you want? Okay, how much payment do you want so I could qualify for this? Like, okay, let me look into it. And, back then I think we could only do like conventional loans. So anyways, I got the condo, and again, man, I tell you that after my son was born, the little amazing things were happening, like in my life, honestly.
Like
my son, DACA, yeah, and now purchasing my little condo, and still it was a blur too. I'm like, man, is it really happening? I told the guy, like, oh yeah, it's happening. Then even the process, the bank statements and all that, I was taking care of everything. I was ready, like all these years before DACA, I was getting ready to finally be a citizen, right? Even if it's a permit only. But
I get you. And let me tell you, having purchased a home with my family as well, like it's one of those like American dream things. And I was like on another podcast, and an immigrant finance podcast, and I was talking about how much of an emotional like process that was for my family, like how we literally like cried at the closing table because of what we didn't think it was possible, right? It was through a conventional loan, but we made it happen. And it's just about pushing through, because you always have to explain like what now it's like DACA, more people are aware. Um, but even now you find yourself like having to explain what DACA is, even to like professionals, and it's a little frustrating, but you kind of just have to push through and know your rights, and that's essentially like what you're proving to us as well. It's just that you kept pushing through, you kept explaining, even if you have to keep explaining yourself, like you achieved the things you have because you kept moving forward, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. You're right. Like especially all dreamers buying and purchasing a home, I think it's more special, right?
Hmm.
I know I remember that feeling too. Like when they gave me the keys, I told that guy, like, is it really? It's done. I'm like, yeah, it's over. Here's the keys. I'm like, no, yeah. And again, it's an amazing feeling. And I know
Yeah.
you understand it. You know, you say you purchase a home, and honestly, too, even with DACA, right there at that moment, I realized, okay, even with DACA and not being a full resident, you have to to fight to get something. You know, like, hey, like, no, you know, I have DACA and find out how much money do you need for me to get this home. And but I know that was another amazing milestone, I guess, you like you say, for the American
Hmm.
dream. And like remember I said I was chained to this rock, and DACA
Yeah.
Kadin kind of broke that chain that I was in, and I was finally moving up to this American dream hill, I guess, and the top is the American dream.
Yeah, I
And
love that visual.
I'm all like, okay, finally, you know, I was running because I
I was running.
I had this
Once you
I
broke
had
through, right? You were running to the top. There's no stopping us.
I had this strong legs ready, you know,
Hmm.
from pulling this weight. But so yeah, so I got the condo. Like, man, it was amazing, and I lived there like, and just again, like, I guess that's what we call as dreamers, because that was one of our dreams. Before that, we got my license, another dream, car license. And so I want to don't tell a little bit of story that happened when I got my license. I was like 30, right? I was like 30, 31 or something. And the guy's like, well, why are you getting your license so late now? I'm like, this fool, if only you knew. I'm like, no, I was in Mexico, so I came back to the States, and
Hmm.
that's why I'm getting it. But also, it's amazing feeling. Just getting a social, amazing feeling, a dream. What
Yeah.
we call us dreamers. So, so bought the condo, and I lived there happily, you know, like, and it was like a little 2-story condo, and I was so super happy. But then again, I didn't begin investing or thinking about it. I was just working, and I was just living like finally a normal life, you know, man, going on vacation. I took my little boy. I was able to afford vacation. I took him to Hawaii, New York, Orlando, Walt Disney.
Wow,
And
that's
I'm like,
amazing.
man, so this is what legal residents do, I guess, right? so yeah, so after that, you know, you're in the condo, you always kind of improve. Like for me, I'm like, okay, what can I do not to like improve? My son, that little condo had no yard, he was getting older. I'm like, this little yard, not gonna cut it. So and then the home price started right going up. And also maybe what helped me was when I had those crappy jobs, I was reading always a newspaper. I was always reading the business section
Hmm.
too. I was always reading. And I was always reading about Apple. I even read about Bitcoin back then. Okay, you know, they was used to buy drugs and all this. I'm like, what is this Bitcoin? What is this stock market stuff? I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm too poor. You know, I have a social. I'm not gonna invest. I can't invest. But
Yeah,
you
but
know,
you
fast
kept
forward.
reading, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
were consuming that knowledge.
yeah, and maybe I consumed. That's why I always say people now that I'm old, I teach young dreamers read. Okay, even if you understand it, something doesn't make sense. Trust me, your brain, it's in there, it's absorbing all the information, and later on you're gonna be like, oh damn, how do I know this? I don't know, maybe I read it somewhere. But also, so fast forward to the little condo I was in there. Fast forward to the buying my condo, I already knew there were the houses were cheap too. Maybe I read something on the business section about housing, and my house, I got my condo for cheap, and the price was going up and going up, and I'm like, okay, so that's how you do it. It's just when it goes up in value a home, you sell it, you use your equity that you build, and the value it went up, then you buy a bigger home. I'm like, okay, so it went up, the condo went up. I got it for like 199, which is super cheap back then.
Yeah.
And not long ago too. Remember our DACA career, I guess you could call it, it's been only like what 8, 9 years, right?
Hmm.
8 years. So yeah, within the couple of years I was in my condo and my vacation. I'm like, man, okay, I can't be spending all the money on vacation and buying. I bought like a sport car, and I'm like, okay, like no, wait, something had to slow down. So the house went up in value like 100,000. My little condo. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, okay,
Wow.
no, yeah. Within like three, maybe like 3, 4, like maybe less than 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 years. I won, no, like 3 years. I won 100,000. I'm like, wait.
Wow.
So I'm thinking like, okay, let's sell. And my little investment mind came in. Let's sell it. Then and I didn't purchase a home right away. Me thinking I knew the housing market. I was studying a little bit now, and I'm like, oh no, they're gonna come down in prices, the houses. So I'm like, let's buy another. I bought a mobile home. A mobile home.
Hmm.
I bought it cash. I bought it cash for about 70,000. I bought it cash.
This was after you sold it or
Yeah,
before?
the condo. After I sold the condo, yeah.
Okay.
After I sold it. I'm like, okay, let's go get a mobile home while the prices go down in price. I'm like, I'm thinking they're gonna go down, right? I'm like, but so we're there in the mobile home, and again, like, nah, I'm not liking this. I never lived in one, so I'm like, nah, we're not liking it. I was just waiting there and working, saving money too, and not investing still. And I'm like, also the money that I had left over, I was spending, and I'm like, oh, this is not the way, like, I'm just spending the money that I had saved in the mobile home. The houses just keep going up, and again, I was there again for a couple, maybe 2 to 3 years, and I'm like, no, you know what? Let's just get a home,
Where'd you
finally
purchase
got.
your condo at? Where was this in California?
Yeah, same
Okay.
right here in California. But the thing is, in California, when it's funny, I live close to my job, the condo, and I moved there a little bit farther from the mobile home. And now, when I finally like, okay, let's sell it and buy a home. This is where I'm at right now. I'm like, I went a little bit further again, but not too much, like only like 5, 10 minutes. Then, I sold the mobile home, and I didn't make a profit on that one. I'm like, I just sell it to buy a home where I'm at right now. And I bought it just at the beginning of the pandemic, Kevin, like last March, not this March, but the one before. And I'm like, man, I'm all thinking I got it so expensive, like $380,000. I'm like, man, it's so expensive. The market's gonna crash, and I'm gonna be underwater. But like, nah, it's okay. So that's why even too, I gave only like the minimum down payment on this house. And we were, I think, and the thing is also, I don't see, I left out the Trump thing out because I don't want to. If you want to ask me about it, it's up to you, or I
We
have more
we
questions.
could bring you back and maybe do a
Okay,
politics
okay,
like
all right.
episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is all
So
about your story, so let's keep it with that.
okay, that's cool. That's cool. So I'm like, oh, the houses are expensive, and I guess maybe my little mentality and investing mind kicked in too. Maybe I read it somewhere, nothing. I don't know, but I'm like, no, let's just give the minimum down payment on this home, and the rest of the money that I had, it wasn't a lot. I had to do I gave like maybe like 20,000 down payment in this home. So yeah, so I sold one home, and I got into this amazing home. Okay, it's not big or nothing, but the neighborhood is amazing. It's like a dream home finally,
Yeah.
like a dream home. And that's where I'm at right now. And so that's when I had a little bit of money left over. So that's when my investing career begins.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I
we could segue into like when did you find out that you could participate in the stock market
Yeah.
and like how do you get
So
into that?
so right there, that's when it began, Kevin. So I bought my home, right? And this home, and I only put the minimum payment, and I had some little bit of money left over. Because again, I thought we need a lot of money to start investing. You don't need a lot of money. And also I was hearing about these apps about Robinhood, like easy to invest now with zero commissions. I was hearing about it. Excuse me, when I bought this third home, when I'm at, so I have some little money left over. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna be traveling no more to this crazy vacations or buying sport cards anymore. And maybe I got a little bit older,
Mm-hmm.
so I started. And it's funny, Kevin. It's super funny. It's luck too. You always need
A
a little
little
bit of
bit of
luck on
luck,
your
right?
side, but also you need it's up to you to hard work and researching and reading, and it's up to us to get that financial education. And it's even better now because we could have like other dreamers and investors now that we could share a journey. But anyways, so I purchased a home in March. Okay, the pandemic was going on. When the pandemic was starting, Kevin, I was in the process of escrow, and I'm like, man, what's this pandemic thing? I'm like, it's not bad. It's just this, it's Trump. Like, oh, it's just the flu and nothing bad. I'm like, okay, so as soon as I moved in here, the thing blows up. That the close of businesses, and we're like, what the heck? I was here
Yeah.
I'm like, my job, like, it's gonna close. I should not this on, but it's okay. I should sell it. I try not to get stressed out so much because I was so stressed out and my undocumented days and anxiety and all that. I'm
Right,
like,
right.
emotionally, I'm like, nah, my head is so strong now that it's cool. I go back to where I was. It's cool. But so yeah, so I had some money left over finally. I'm like, okay, let's start investing. I'm starting investing. I open my investment accounts in Robinhood and M1 Finance, and I'm all trying to become an investor. Like, okay, what can I buy? Oh, let's buy some Amazon. A little bit. I only buy like Amazon. I always wanted to buy Apple. I'm like, oh, I think my first one is Apple. So I learned how to use the app in YouTube. I'm like, how to use this app? What's the stock? And I just researched everything. I started reading some books on Amazon. I began investing the stock and in bonds. And I heard on the back of my head, I go to Bitcoin, and it came out again there in YouTube when I put investments like some type of some Bitcoin will pop out and cryptocurrency. I'm like, man, I remember about this thing. I'm like, it's still going on. Like, what the heck?
I gotta
So
find out more if it's
yeah,
still around.
yeah. So I was right there, like reaching my investment, like buying some little stock of Apple, $100 on Amazon, and I don't remember what other ones I bought, but I just researched that dividend companies. That was the best thing to pick stocks that give you dividends, and I didn't know. So I just lost, and the stock market crashed. Remember in March?
Yeah. Well, so did you buy before the crash or like?
Yeah,
Oh,
I bought
okay,
before
okay.
a little
Oh
bit, yeah, a little
man.
bit, but it wasn't a lot too. Those
Okay.
I didn't put all my money in, and even again, the thing came in again. I'm like, did I read this somewhere? Like to put it slowly, or like I don't know, but maybe I was reading my reading back then on my research on the newspapers that I used to read so much before. Maybe again helped me a little bit. So I'm like, I'm just looking at this stock market crash, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, like this normal. So I tried researching that. Like, the thing that happened was the last one was in like 2008. I'm like, what the heck? Then I started reading more. Like, okay, this is the opportunity to. That's when you buy. When everything's going down. But I was brand new right there. Like my first month, like my first month of investor. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? But I started throwing more money. Like the market kept going down. I started buying. But then I would watch the news and read Yahoo Finance. I'm like, oh no, it's gonna keep going down even lower. So sell, I would sell. Like, man,
Oh
I was
man.
making so many mistakes, Kevin. But I was in
That's
there
how we learn.
grinding. Yeah, I was just in there grinding, like trading and all that. But it was the market was so down, and I kept buying too and selling, but I was just buying for luckily for me, the marketing happened. If not, I probably would have lost money. But then I started learning more slowly as the months progress, and that again, Bitcoin came out, and I started researching the technology and what it is, and I researched it, watched so many videos and so many articles I read. I'm like, oh, you know what? Then Bitcoin might be an investment when in the future. Okay, let's just buy a little half of it, buying a little bit of it till I got to like, I think I purchased. I was able to purchase a whole Bitcoin, right? Like with all my money right there. I put some into stocks and I purchased a whole Bitcoin for like $9,000
I was gonna say, was
because that
that
was
when it was like 8,000,
yeah,
like in
yeah,
that range?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So remember, all I had was like $10,000 of cash. Okay, like maybe like $15,000 I had in there, and I'm like, damn, should I gamble all my money into a Bitcoin? But like, no, yeah, it has potential. And over
Yeah.
here thinking that I could trade it. Oh, I should buy it right now, and when it goes up, I'll sell it a little bit. Then I wait again, it goes down, I buy it again, then it goes up, I'll sell it again. I'm all thinking like I'm a trader, a professional trader with all
Mhm.
my money. Which again, I was lucky right there. I was lucky. I'm putting money into stocks, and I bought a whole Bitcoin for like $9,000 or 8,500. I remember it was. And that was like all my investment money that I could have lost, but luckily Bitcoin didn't crash all the way down. Maybe I just dropped out. But anyways, I'm like, I was doing that with Bitcoin. I'm over here investing, buying some stocks and selling stocks too, like a dummy, I say. But I'm
Hey, you're
there
learning
learning.
though.
Yeah,
You're
no,
learning
yeah,
though.
that's the best thing. That's the best thing. I was just in
Hmm.
there learning, like, okay, this doesn't work. Doesn't work. I'm losing money. The market, some stocks went down. I'm like, the emotions in the Bitcoin thing over here, cryptocurrency. And I'm like, man. So I started. See, I'm tired. I again started learning now. Like, okay, I don't think it's good idea just to be trading. I think it's just better. I guess I read more books, I research more stuff, and I'm like, okay, I think just buying and holding is the best strategy. I've kind of figured it out. With cryptocurrency, I'm like, man, this thing, it was going like 9,000, 10,000, then 7,000. Then I'm like, oh, I don't want to be trading no more. Be looking at it the whole day or something. I'm like, I'm
It's
just gonna,
stressful if you look
yeah,
at it,
yeah,
yeah,
no,
every
yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, let me just, I'll keep half. I sold half of it. I'm like, let me get half out and put it into the stocks, and I'll leave half of the Bitcoin in there. Maybe in the future, that money it was from my mobile home, and
Yeah.
I had it was from leftover. So I'm like, I guess that's when I started like, okay, let's make this money work for me. So a little 15,000, I'm over here buying stocks and selling them again, continue. But I'm slowing down now. Like I'm not selling so much. I was selling less and trading less.
Mm-hmm.
Then also some stocks like I don't know, this is not good. I'm over here picking stocks, but
Yeah.
I figured now if I now I know after all I know, it's just buying index funds is the best way to grow your wealth. But so, anyways, yeah, I was in there grinding the whole summer, and towards September, I kind of got the okay. This things I think so like yeah after August, I like, kind of got figured out like okay, no. I started knowing more, made so many mistakes, and I learned. They're like okay, just let's just buy and hold now, like a little plan, a weekly plan. I'm just gonna put all my money in Bitcoin, all my money into the stocks that I had for investment, and have my emergency savings, of course, first,
Mm-hmm.
and pay off the credit cards. Then I'm like, okay, let's just stick to our plan. From the beginning of September, all that Biden thing, all that election thing drama was going on, and that's when I finally, I think, okay, I'm an investor, I think now, and just was buying and holding some companies, and that's when I just started seeing like the results, like all my little stocks. I was trading like a dummy back then in the summer, but now I was just buying and holding some of those stocks like Tesla and Apple and all those. And my portfolio began finally. I'm like, what? I choose by not doing nothing, just buying
Yeah.
every week. My portfolio started growing like crazy. I'm like, what the hell? And Bitcoin, of course, not just my little Bitcoin when I was like 8,000, 9,000. I'm like, started moving slowly up too, but just same thing, leaving it in there. I'm like, man, if you don't do anything into investment, that's you can make all the most money. Then Bitcoin started climbing slowly, 10, 11,000, 12,000. Then all my stocks just started recovering everything. You know how the market was crazy. And all my portfolio on the stocks was too, like, man, like for my little maybe I was able to get like 15,000, like 20,000, 30,000. I'm like, what the heck? 40,000. And but yeah, then the election happened. Thankfully, like man, finally Biden won, and
Right.
finally I think I know again I'm getting this investment thing down, and in the beginning of the year, I think towards the end of the year, I finally I'm like, okay, I'm like my investments, I'm good with my investment. I think I know what I'm doing now. And finally I'm like in this neighborhood, middle class neighborhood, like man, just another dream of mine was to invest, and it became reality. And that's when I started like, okay, let me see if I could get back to my community. That's when I started finding my dreamer. No, I wasn't a dreamer group, but
Yeah.
I'm like, let me try to share what I know. Some of the things I think I know about investing. Let me try to share it. Then I started thinking like, okay, maybe I could start not making, but maybe if other dreamers hear me out and like in a little group about investment, maybe they start thinking about it. And honestly, that's just how my wealth is growing. I know it's slow and up and down, but slowly, Kevin, my wealth is
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable. Like my little portfolios, I can't believe it. Honestly, how much I have in
So
there.
that's that's that's
That's
amazing. I
just right
mean,
now.
yeah, that's amazing because that's also when I got to is like when it everything was crashing. I'm like, well, last time this
Okay.
happened, it was like 2008. So I knew whatever I was gonna buy, as long as I bought companies that were known, um, they were gonna go right back up. And that's
So you
essentially,
knew.
you knew that too in the back of your head,
Hmm.
from just reading. But so we, and of course I made some mistakes too. So we made some, you made some mistakes, I made some mistakes. We all make mistakes in the stock market, but we learn from them, and that's how we educate ourselves, right? So what I want to get is to like, what does financial literacy and just participating in investment vehicles like the stock market and crypto, as you mentioned, mean to you as someone who's undocumented, and mean to me and to us all, right? Like what it was that, what does participating in these investment vehicles mean to you?
Just the chance to be able to participate, what, as a, like I say, that was my dream. Just a vehicle to grow your wealth, honestly. It's just, no, I realize it now after my investment this year and last year, out of last year, well, not a lot, but most of it, and the half of this year, it's a vehicle to learn, like, just not about investment and building your wealth, but your generation wealth. And we could teach our families now, like, about investing. Like before, like, honestly, it's a lot of our community doesn't know. Like, it's not
Yeah.
like we don't want to, we want to, but we really don't know, so we kind of afraid of it. And I mean, and like it's funny how you say that it's a vehicle, and we're in this vehicle, okay, and we're just going on this vehicle and
Ride.
loading that vehicle with a little bit of cash in there, putting cash in there. That's how I see it. That's a good analogy. And it's also, as you become an investor, you also become like a saver too. For me, I'm like, I'm saving more and looking at everything differently, like it's an investment. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing, an opportunity to just invest and teach others now for myself, and teach our family and friends, not advise them, but just teach them that it's possible. Now the cryptocurrency thing blew up, right? And it's all over the
Hmm.
news and stuff. And how cool is that? We already know, Kevin. Like, we're in there, right? Like us, me and you, we
Hmm.
know how to talk about it, and the technology. And but yeah, that's about that. That's
Well,
amazing.
yeah, no, it's absolutely amazing. And like you said, not many of us know that you can participate in the stock market and different types of investment vehicles, as you said, um like buying houses and such as well. So you're a very knowledgeable person, and you're always willing to share your knowledge. I see this through your Facebook group all the time. You always go live almost like every morning in your Dream Point group. I wanted to ask you what motivated you to start this group and share that knowledge with us almost daily,
Oh,
basically.
yeah. So I think it started, Kevin, like for me when I was investing. Maybe if I would have seen another dreamer, talk to him, chat with them, I wouldn't have made so many mistakes. Like, I know you have to make mistakes, right?
Mhm.
And maybe if I, like, again, I heard it from him as another dreamer investor, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. Kevin said not to do that, and like, maybe I'll try it, but with the less money, like Kevin said, it just say you told me, and like, I'll try with the little money, and like, hey, it goes sour. I'll go, okay, no, never mind. I just go back to Kevin, and I learned my lesson, but with less money, because I felt like I made money in the market crash, okay, but I know I could have made so much more, but maybe now, maybe another market crash happens, this year or in the future, and I'm like, I want some my dreamers, my community, to know at least what to do or hear from another dreamer, another investor dreamer, and get them started into investing too. That's one of my main goals. Helps for them, for you guys, young dreamers coming out of age, and to think about investing as a vehicle, like you said, to grow our wealth and generation wealth, like what I say, and honestly, just build wealth and not be able to worry about money. And I think that's one of the things. Just my motivation, just to teach others, to have like a little, not a mentor, but maybe hear from another dreamer, and get dreamers started into investing, and maybe them become an investor. Like for me, like I think I'm becoming an investor now, and share that knowledge with family and friends, and just talk about it, and know about it, because man, the investment world, it's an amazing opportunity. It's been proven to build our wealth some, like, substantially. It's a big word, but but
No,
yeah,
you're
that's
right.
like that's one of my
It's
reasons.
what this country runs on, as I say. It's the economy and the stock market.
Yeah.
It's what it's the heart of it. And speaking of which, you have a huge heart to be sharing that knowledge with us. I know a lot of people, I've encountered some as well, that are very selfish with the knowledge that they have. And and I guess maybe that's just part of some human nature maybe. But You're always just sharing your info with anyone willing to listen, and that's why I wanted to have you on here as well, because you're just an inspiration to a lot of us. At least to me, you're a big inspiration, and I really appreciate you sharing that knowledge. Because not many people do that. A lot of people forget that all the knowledge. I always tell people, a lot of people forget all the knowledge that we consume, that we learn, we got it from somewhere else or from someone else, right? And that's
Yeah.
why should we be selfish with it, especially within our community when we as a group are trying to like thrive in the United States. So I mean, I that's why I look up to you and all that you're doing. So I appreciate you being on here.
Oh,
And
no, thank you, Kevin.
and let me segue into a little bit of a lighthearted question. So, I mean, I've seen it many times, and you have as well, where a dreamer or just someone in general interested in investing asks for advice, like where they should begin investing. And for some groups, I've seen a lot of times you might get a reply of quote Doge to the moon unquote. What are your thoughts on this?
I think I always see that. I since last year, so it was another dreamer group, stock market group, and when new investors will come in, right, or brand new, and I wasn't making live videos yet or nothing, and they would ask like, "Oh, what should I invest on?" And I would always see what you're saying.
Right.
Only people that like not even new investors, not even, I think not even they knew what they were doing. They just say like buy Dogecoin, and I would just see that like, man, that's not the right way to approach it. And but I'm like, no, man, like now in my videos, I always mention, okay, that's the funny thing. When it's one-on-one, it's more tricky with laws and advising people or telling them about
Yeah.
money. But in a group setting, like when I go live, like somebody told me, another dreamer, that she's a professional about investments. She's like, in a group setting, it's easier just to mention what you're buying, what people should do. And I try to go in there, like the new dreamers, like when you put something on a group and they tell you to buy this, when you see something on the group, buy this, that's like a sign not to buy it.
Yep.
Just like, Dogecoin again, like you see, when it was going up crazy, like last week or something. That's when a lot of new dreamers came into the group. I saw into the little investment group, and they're like, "Oh, I want to buy Doge," and it was like 70 cents and 60 something cents.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to, I'm like, man, I'm like, sometimes I will comment, but I'll tell them like, no, if you're gonna buy at these high prices, remember, it might crash soon, and you're gonna be prepared as a new investor to be down so much money. And they're like some little gamblers, but no, yeah, I think it's just some people. So honestly, the dreamers have not bad intentions, but they choose a wrong way of going at it. They choose buy this, buy that, and without telling them like, no, take it slow. First, learn about investments and look into it first. Like as soon as you join an investment or you're interested, you'll be at least a couple of weeks to research it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, I see my videos, and I'm glad that, like you say, I'm anxious. That makes me happy. Like someone like just like you saying that, okay, that in my little videos or what I'm doing motivates you. That's it. That's my mission. It's finished. Okay, even if one person says it, and that just makes me happy. And I know we're gonna make a lot of money then if we learn investments the right way.
Absolutely.
But about Dutch, like I always try to guide people like in my videos, like, oh, I know Dutch, you're interested, but look at the prices, and might come down, and you can be ready to sell. And see, again, it comes back to me back in March crash. Maybe if I had somebody there, like, oh no, just buy and hold, it's cheaper. Remember, trust me, you're gonna make a lot of money. Maybe not, I don't want to listen fully, but I listen a little bit. And like right now, some Dogecoin dreamers. Maybe some of them without realizing, they're listening to me like, okay, Jonathan said I bought at this price, and when it drops hard, I'm not gonna sell it and lose my money. And maybe some listen, like this little correction that happened on Dogecoin, some listen, I think, and which is good,
Yeah.
They start thinking the long-term mentality of an investment, that's maybe Dogecoin, it's gonna come back again to that new high and maybe get higher. But if they don't sell when they panic selling or the thing crashes, they'll lose some money. And maybe I hope at least one of them listen, then and maybe more, without even them realizing it, hearing me, another dreamer, saying it, maybe it helped them.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you can only inform people, right? And then how they take that is up to them, because I mean you can't force anything upon people. So I mean, if the smart ones will apply that to their investments, and then see how they're going to go about it, to their
Yeah.
investment strategy. What tips do you have for dreamers that are listening, or anyone that just wants to get started in their investment journey?
Oh, that's a good question. And like I always tell people, start slowly, start learning first. Like read some books, in investing, and start slowly with a little bit of money. Now, remember, now you need $1 to start investing into Amazon or Apple. But I don't recommend picking stocks. But I know some people are not gonna listen, and you could do it too. It's like if you could do it too, so you could learn some good lessons, a little bit of lessons, good lessons, but with less money, so you don't lose a lot of money. But I say just take it slow, start learning, and just watch a lot of YouTube. Everything on YouTube. I know some people just pump stocks and stuff, but there's some good YouTubers, and you're gonna see who you like and what your strategy is gonna be like. I hope your strategy is the long term investment, and
Mhm.
if you're gonna buy companies, buy some good companies. Just be ready. Then the market might go down, and are you ready to hold and buy more when it's cheaper? And that's what I always say for new investors. For me, it's just index funds. I think is the best way. Now, as an experienced investor, I'm only gonna do index funds, okay, and some cryptocurrency because I still believe on it, but
Yeah.
less percentage. But I should tell the new investor, dreamers, or anyone in our community, start slowly, learn about the stock market, and after you get that down, you invest because the best teacher is gonna be the stock market, okay, not me, not a YouTuber. The market is gonna be the best teacher.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the
absolutely.
thing.
Awesome. And so where do you see yourself like 5 years from now?
Kevin. I'm gonna have like I'm gonna have like at least $500,000. 250,
Wow. Look at that.
250,000 to $500,000. I'll
Wow.
be
We're
in that
well on your
range.
way to a millionaire.
Everything goes good, hopefully. We don't get another Trump. We don't get another Trump again. And
Yeah.
it's okay. As long as I'm a permit, I'm gonna keep investing my game plan now. I think I got it. And it's buy dollar cost average every week into my investments and in index funds, some cryptocurrency, invest in there, see what happens to is unknown. But Kevin, I'm gonna have about 250,000 to have $1 million invested. And if the bubble pops on the mortgage on the housing, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna buy some rental properties
Hmm.
with investments. And hopefully they don't crash. Okay, maybe nothing up and crash, but
Hey, you've
and I know
done well for yourself. I think you've
oh, that's great.
experienced the
Hopefully,
highs and the lows.
yeah. Hopefully. I don't think the market's kind of uncertain right now. It's kind of fat level, but I think I might get to 100,000 in my portfolio this year. Hopefully, by the end of the year, maybe at the beginning of next year, I'll get to 100,000 to my portfolio. And slow and steady too, not gambling too much no more, or putting everything to crypto. And
I mean,
hopefully,
do you hear yourself though? That's amazing. Think about your like just hearing your story, and just looking back at it. If you ever wonder, like I always tell myself, if I ever want to humble myself, or like you gotta look back to like where you started. Like, did you ever dream you'd be well on your way on track to like $1 million? Like when you got here, and just like myself, I never thought I'd be able to purchase a home, and that like here I am, and here you are, and that's that's why I do these episodes as well. It's just like other people like us can achieve um, their dreams. It might not be a straight path because of our status, but we have to go through the back roads, but eventually we'll get there.
no, that's why. I think that's why I hope maybe that's when I started my Facebook lives. Maybe I started that because I always thought before like I thought everyone was in my same situation. Okay, honestly, like I'm like, but I started seeing the dreamer group like no, they just some dreamers who are still struggling and have
Mhm.
some of them haven't purchased their home yet. I'm like, okay, let me give them the little push. You know, like what you're saying, Kevin. Man, I hear myself. Okay, I see my bank. Okay, my
Yeah.
my portfolios. I'm like, and I don't fear me losing the investment money. I don't fear it, which that's amazing. But I'm like, man, I always say on my videos, I can't believe my bank, how it is, and my portfolio investment. A little home I have is not the biggest, but It's
But it's your
hearing
home.
that, hearing
It's your
that,
home.
yes, and I guess
Exactly.
another investment. That's another
Hmm.
crazy thing, Kevin. This the house I got it for 380. Okay, so I paid like 20,000 down payment.
Hmm.
So it's already worth $450,000.
Look at you.
Another
You're
hundred,
doing something right,
a
huh?
hundred. It went up $100,000 in value of the home within like from not with my 20,000 down payment. It went up in value like 70,000. And my wife's like, don't even think about selling it. But Kevin, man, what I made in cryptocurrency and the stocks that I used to make just in that and my investments, what I made last year, I used to make. I didn't even make that a whole year into working minimum paying when I was undocumented. I didn't even make that the whole year, Kevin. Like not even 20, maybe $20,000. And now I'm seeing that I made that just in crypto and the stocks. Like that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's just what we're here as well saying, like if, just with a little bit of research, I mean outreach, just talk to us. We're always willing to share knowledge. You're always willing to share knowledge. Where can people reach you and talk to us a little bit about the group, the Facebook group, and how people can also join the group?
Oh yeah. So if someone listens and wants to chat with me one day, another dreamer or a beginner investor, I'm always willing to share what I know and maybe help you just get started. I can't advise you what to buy, but I kind of throw hints at you at the videos. But on Facebook, we have our group, Daca Dream Point. I think just by searching that, it should pop up about investment and businesses and hopefully some real estate. And I said I might stop doing my videos and sharing what I know. But you just lose it maybe sometimes. But I haven't lost it yet. But I'm willing to not get you help you get started, give you the little push. Somebody told me that in a comment, like, man, I just help me push me. So I'm like in the line, like in the edge, like to jump in the water and the pool, right, to investment. Like, but I don't know, like I need somewhere to push me, and maybe I could be that person. I told them, maybe watch my videos and we could chat too. And message me. Maybe I could be that little push for you to start getting into investing. And I'm gonna share everything I know and some more information that I know. I'm gonna share it with you guys. I know that like you said, it's funny that it's in my head right now that, and I always say it too. There's some knowledgeable dreamers, okay, knowledgeable about investment, real estate, and I always say this. How come they're not sharing this? Okay, I know. I'm like, that's just the way it is. Our community is also, like you said, it's true. You want like for they struggle so much to make it. They're like, I'm not gonna be helping anyone. But for me, I struggle so much and I
That you
made it,
don't.
I think.
Right. I'm the same
And
way. Like,
I'm willing to
yep.
share, okay, everything I know, help you. And I always say, we're gonna be rich, okay? We're gonna be rich if you start investing and learn about it. You open your whole mind expands into, man, it's amazing.
Yeah,
But
no,
it's uncertainty
definitely.
too. So you have some risk. And we're seeing it right now. It's just to be still in there, we're still in there, we're still in there.
Well, thank you so much, Jonathan. It's really a pleasure and an honor to have you on here. Is there anything else that you want to share before
No,
we
no, no, no.
we leave?
Just guys, if you like, hopefully we talk again, and I'll come on your podcast whenever you want, and I'll keep doing it. I feel like my everyone says like, so what's your mission or your drive or what are you doing, right? It's just my mission is just to help other dreamers and maybe other Latinos or other our community or anyone, help them about investments and teach them about investments and what I'm doing, sharing my journey, and hopefully, once I'm telling you guys, whoever's listening, you're gonna get rich if you get into investments and you learn so much. But that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan.
No, thank you, Kevin. Thank you.